Hello there. This is Cindy at cindybdesigns.com. Thank you for joining me today. This is what we will be making. That is my Santa version, but we will be making this. I wanted to do like a simple vintage version, dirty it up a little bit, doll it up ever so slightly just to show you the potential of what you can do with this great postbox gift card holder. So from left to right, that's my sample, and I'm going to describe it, I guess. So I colored the Santa, and I have it tucked, the flap is tucked underneath the hood, and I use it that way. That is how it looks. If you want to kind of use that as a flap up or keep it down, that very top panel is on dimensionals. You could put tape on the side and do it differently, but I'll get into that as we go on because this is a longer video. That is our back, but those are going to be, that's how we start out, those four pieces there. So I wanted to show you that from the beginning to kind of let you know how everything is put together in different ways. We are going to be using the detailed bands dies and using that one die for our little post box there. And that is that top panel I was talking about, which you can do with. And we also have some partial die cutting, which is a technique I haven't done for a really long time. And we are going to go through that. So to get started, I am bringing in that new Stampin trimmer, which is great. And I have a piece of basic gray cardstock. And I'm going to flip it because, you know, it's 8.5 across and I need 7 inches. And then I'm going to turn it, and I want to cut it at 3 7/16. And I am going to put a link to a ruler that I use to give you, because that's like one little 1/16 of an inch below a half, to where you can get like all those little funky measurements. And you know, check the blog at cindybdesigns.com. So that is done. I moved it over 1/4 of an inch. I want to score 1/4 of an inch on both sides, rotate it 180, take it over to 3.5, because that's half a 7, and that's going to give me my back or my base to put the gift card in. So for step number 2, we want to cut another piece of paper to 2 7/8 by 5 inches. And then after we do that, we are going to want to bring in our big shot, and we're going to take the top of, or we're going to take that die, and we're going to place it down like that. And I'm not using my magnetic platform because I was having issues with calibration. So I'm using painter's tape. And that is a partial die cutting plate, or like a half plate from Sizzix. And for partial die cutting, and you're seeing me struggle here because this is an awkward angle that I'm at because I am on film, you only want to cover the part that you want to cut. The part that you do not want to cut and want to keep intact, leave it open, because your layers is what crunches the die to cut. And you place your plate on top to get it that way. So those are the measurements for that. Now to get that scored up, because that is the flap over, that male flap, so to speak, you want to take the edge to 1 inch on the left, move it over, you know, down to the left 1/4 inch, and score again. And when you close the door to the Stampin trimmer, the new one, it locks, but I still get paranoid every now and then just to keep it straight for me. Then you want to move it over the second score line to 3.5 and then cut it off. And everything will be on the blog at cindybdesigns.com. A link will be underneath this. So for panel number, or cut number 3, that is 2 5/8 by 3 1/4. Okay, and that's the front one that we're going to have the scripty embossing on. And after you cut that, you want to score on 3 sides at 3/8 of an inch. And so then you're pretty much done with your scoring and everything. Then we get into assembly a little bit, but you also want to die cut another frame like that, and you can alter the measurements, and there's so many different die cuts and frames that you can use, especially from that detailed bands. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of options here and so many things that you can do with this. Not only a gift card holder, but this is what we have, and that is what it looks like. Now this is where, do not do what I am doing. I'm doing it right by putting the tape on where I'm putting it on, and I'm cringing by not using my scissors because you do get sticky, and I like to use my bone folder to get it down. But you're going to see me cut little V's into where that 3.5 inch score line meets, and you really want to do that before you do all of this, because when you see me fold that up and put it together, look at the bottom, I'm going to have really ugly ends. So during this editing process and putting this together, because this is only the 3rd one I've done, I did another one off camera and brought that one back in towards the end to put everything together, and you can see the difference at the bottom, my ends, you know, the far left bottom and the far right. So I'm bringing in the scripty folder for that top panel, and I'm going to dry emboss that on. We have a new embossing top plate that just makes everything so easy, and I just got that, and now I'm embossing more because I got tired of messing with the sandwiches. So to dirty vintage this up a little bit, I'm grabbing some of our white craft ink and a sponge dauber, and I rubbed it over the scripty print, which really brought it up and out to life. And now I'm going to assemble the base or the bottom to where the actual gift card or any type of interactive element you want to go into, and it's going to pop into that. And once again, I'm grabbing the white craft ink and going around the edges just to, again, vintage, dirty it up. And that is how we are looking. And I have no idea what I'm doing there. I think I'm trying to describe to you about how you can modify that pocket and do other things to it, because that is in the future. But you know, again, I'm keeping it simple right now just for this video, but use your imagination and get those score lines down real good too. So there is the mail flap. That's why I call that panel. And I'm going to ink that up all the way around. And at this point in time, I remember I wasn't quite sure how am I going to decorate this up. And then we're going to be doing Cup of Cheer. No, that was a couple years ago. Cup of Christmas next week. And I thought, okay, might as well just pull that in. And that is where that one die cut goes in the back. It goes kind of sort of halfway in. And I'm junking that up too. So I'm bringing in the stamps from Cup of Christmas, 2 of them, with some verse marks. We're going to do some white heat embossing, and that's just one of those little images in there. And I'm bringing in the sentiment for the top. And a lot of times when I use my stamps like that on blocks without the Stamparatus, I will still use the Stamparatus just to line up my stamps on the blocks, if that makes sense, because there are lines. So I'm a lazy heat embosser, and I just dipped it in the powder, and I like using an angled brush to wipe out the excess. White crafting does take some time to dry. I did not heat set it, so to dry you want heat setting 1, that's on 2 right now because I'm waiting for it to heat up so I can actually get those sentiments heat embossed. So I thought, well, I might as well get, the other part dry. But they're kind of junky. All the powder is not off. A good 97% of it is. But I have that vintage look that I was after to get. Swiffer cloths will take off all the embossing buddy powder left over, and they're also fantastic for your car and the dashboard, which I discovered yesterday. I decided to put on like a little metal element for maybe like an opening. A brad would be another good idea. So I'm kind of winging it to where that little tab or band in front's going to go in the back, and I'm taking some sticky adhesive, which I do use consistently because you need it for this. You want it to be indestructible. And I use my bone folder to, really get it in. Pulled off the backing, and I'm going to line it up where it goes in there, and it does fit in comfortably snug. And you know what I mean by that. So that is what that looks like. And I'm grabbing some more tear and tape. I'm going to put it on the back of the mail flap. Watching, Jezebel chase her tail right now on the catwalk. It's kind of funny. So that's easy enough to line up because it goes perfectly with that. And that's another panel too that you could make interactive to where you could slip 3 elements if you wanted to inside there. So I'm going to pack that away, maybe something for spring or whatever. So I have our black dimensionals. I'm putting them on the back of that, I'm going to call it like a decorative panel. Peeling them off, and I want to get that centered from top to, I'm not going to say top to bottom, more so it looks prettier on the bottom and left to right, because we do have that flap coming over there. And this is how easy that is. I mean, it's a lot of busy work. That's a great place to put, your to and from and write a message. But again, that is what my little prototype looks like. Any stamps that can go with this, any die cuts. Again, this is what we will be working on next week. And I have a lot of ideas for this. And here's a card that I'm working on. Not quite sure how to embellish those coffee cups, but good ideas for these dies. So thank you so much for joining me today. Please hit like, subscribe, leave a comment. Have a fantastic weekend, and God bless. Happy Thanksgiving too. See you soon.